Alright, it's that time of year. It's August. It's time for our 2026-2027 Premier League predictions. Let's get straight into it. Obviously, as a Chelsea fan, I think Chelsea are winning the league. I think Chelsea have looked pretty good, and they've looked really good in pre-season. Made a lot of signings, a lot of crucial signings. People have always said Chelsea's need an experienced Premier League centre-back, and they could win the league. Well, we bought Le Croix in, which Le Croix he's not like, world-class experienced centre-back, but he is a solid Premier League proven centre-back who won, the FA Cup with, or Carabao Cup with Crystal Palace, so that's pretty damn good. So yeah, I think having Le Croix in there, Palestra at fullback, Chavalier as well, just big upgrades to what we had of, your Gustos, and Reece James obviously is very good, but injury prone. And upgrading the attack as well. João Pedro looking on fire, probably going to be the best striker besides Haaland. I just think with one game a week as well, no Europe, Xabi Alonso, he's got his formation, he's got his setup that he wants. There's just no reason for Chelsea to do bad. There's legit, I can't really find I just think Chelsea need to be minimum top four, absolute minimum, but I think they'll win the league. I think we'll do it. And then I think it'll be Arsenal second. I think the battle this season will be between Chelsea and Arsenal, because Arsenal, obviously, it's always hard for a club to retain the title after a great season, but I just think in the end, Arsenal still had some, not lucky, but just close results last season of, a lot of the corners and set pieces and things like that. I just think it won't be as effective this season. I think managers will be a lot more aware of it. I think people will realise that it won't work as well this season. Although they're making, not many signings, but crucial ones, getting Bruno Guimaraes in, upgrading their midfield quite a bit with him. That new Tezosli, I don't remember his name, but the one that starts with T and S, he looks pretty good in pre-season as well. But I think the battle for first will be between Chelsea and Arsenal, and I think Chelsea will come on top. Third, City. Obviously, Maresca going into Man City. We basically knew he was going to be the manager for a long time now. Obviously, the Community Shield, they got destroyed by Arsenal, but I'm not going to just base their season off that. I think Man City still have a fantastic squad. The quality they still have in there, Semenyo looking insane in pre-season. They still got Haaland, who, don't forget, has scored crazy amount of goals for how many games he's played. And obviously after his World Cup performance as well. I just think there's no reason for them to drop a lot. But I don't think they'll be I don't think they'll quite get to the title with Maresca, personally. And then I've put Man United fourth. Obviously, they got third last season. I think Carrick, obviously, I wouldn't say Carrick's really a good manager for them based on full tactics and stuff. I think it's more that the club just love him and they have a good relationship with the players. And I think that's been the main issue of a lot of managers, like Ralf Rangnick and Ten Hag. Most of their problems have been chemistry and partnerships with the managers to the players. And players having egos and things like that. So I think they'll still do well, but I think they'll be fourth. I just think City, Arsenal, Chelsea are just too strong for them personally. But I don't see anyone else going above them. So I put Man United fourth. Now this one is pretty controversial. Tottenham Hotspur fifth. Hear me out. And even above Liverpool and all these teams. They got 17th last season. Terrible. But what I will say is, Tottenham, in pre-season, they've looked pretty solid. And obviously pre-season isn't everything, but you can still base it off the gameplay. They've made some really good signings. They've made some amazing signings. Let's be honest. And they're also linked to Gakpo and things like that right now that would boost their attack even more. Their only real problem is having injury-prone attackers at the moment. But besides that, they got Van Heck from Brighton, who is a great centre-back. And even that Chelsea pre-season game against us, Van Heck he's a very good centre-back. Him with Van de Ven is going to be very good. And Pedro Porro in fullback, he's always been very good. Vinsky, is that his name? I forgot his name, for the goalkeeper. I remember he had one howler in the Champions League, but game, I think last season, but that Vinsky or whatever his name is, bro, he is very good. Against Chelsea, he was the reason why we didn't beat them in that friendly. he made some insane saves. I think if they trust him, I think he'll gain confidence and play well, even though he's not known as like a big name goalkeeper that everyone would say is very good. And then like looking at Tottenham, like they just, I don't know, and I just think De Zerbi, the manager, I just think he's, I don't know, to me it seems he's just gaining confidence. To me it seems like they're gonna do well. I just think they will. I genuinely think they will. And I think this is the season where the top 6 clubs get back in the top 6. I actually think it will happen. I know we predict it every season, it never happens, but I genuinely think it will. But yeah, Tottenham, I would say definitely need to probably sign another good attacker. But besides that, I think they're looking really good. And obviously the signing of Tonali, I can't forget about that. Tonali is probably their biggest signing. Brilliant in midfield. Like, I genuinely think they'll be good. And then Liverpool, so that's the Champions League. The Champions League placements, 1st to 5th. Now, the European contenders, 6th, I've got Liverpool. Now, you're probably... It is crazy I've got Liverpool last out of the top 6 clubs, but I just think Liverpool are still quite bad defensively. I just think they defensively, they're just not that great. And they've obviously lost Kanate now. I don't know. Van Dijk, like, everyone would say Van Dijk's still a solid centre-back, but I just think defensively, they just leak a lot of silly goals, to me personally. And obviously the new manager, Areola from Bournemouth, he's a good manager. He's got a good way of playing, but I just think they're going to be last out of the top 6 clubs, personally. But I don't see, like, I don't see the other teams in the Premier League going above. I don't see it. And like Liverpool's not been that active in the transfer window either. Probably the least active. Maybe, I guess United have only done a little bit, but yeah, not too active. But yeah, I think they've got 6th. And then 7th, I've got Bournemouth. I know they've lost their manager. I know Krupi's out for like a couple months, but I just think Bournemouth, they're still solid. They still got Alex Scott. Maybe he will leave, but I just think they're still solid, and I think they'll find their way to get near the top. I genuinely believe that. Now, Everton 8th. This is probably the craziest one I've done on this. At the end of the day, there's always going to be one surprise team that will get a lot higher than you would expect. I think Everton, I've watched some of their preseason games, like highlights. I genuinely see Everton as a solid team. Like, they were playing some nice football, especially their friendly against Newcastle, which, bear in mind, yes, these are all friendlies, preseason friendlies, I know, but you can still analyse the gameplay and how they're playing. Newcastle, obviously, are really bad. They've lost a lot of good players, but Everton, especially that friendly, Everton were playing some great football, man. Like, if you watch that team without knowing who's playing and seeing their kits or like who the players were, you would predict them to be like a big team. Like, they're playing really well. I think that's my upset. I think they'll get 8th. And then 9th to 11th, so this is the upper mid-table. I think Aston Villa next. Aston Villa, obviously having European football now. I think that will put them a little bit lower on the table, but I still think they'll get 9th. And then 10th and 11th, Sunderland and Coventry. Now, Sunderland, I think they'll get about mid-table, a bit lower than last season because, you know, juggling of European football, I feel like you would have to do insanely well and have crazy depth to want to go higher while having European football, especially for a club who hasn't had European football in a long time. I still think they'll get 10th. Keeping Xhaka was very smart of them as well because he's probably their main player. And then, yeah, I think Coventry City. Lampard, obviously Chelsea fan, I'm going to be biased a bit, but Lampard has done amazing with Coventry. And even the teams he's like managed in the Championship before that, it's teams that have been low and then he's bring them up and he's promoted them and they look really solid. And I think they'll do like a Sunderland from last season, but not be as high this time. But I do think Coventry will get 11th. I think they'll get mid-table and stay in the Prem for sure. And then 12th to 14th, Fulham, Brighton, Leeds. These 3 teams, they give me like, I would say, like, especially Brighton, they have lost like a Van Heck, which I think was a main player for them. But Brighton seem to always bring in great players, so I'm not too worried about that. But Fulham, Brighton, and Leeds. To me, they're the three teams where like they can upset teams, but I don't think they're consistent enough and strong enough to stay in the mid to upper mid table. So I think 12, 13, 14, the lower mid table, I think they're just the lower mid teams that I think will be there. And I just think Fulham will probably be at the top of them just because the manager from Real Madrid has come there. I think he'll do quite well. And then relegation fighters. These are the teams that they've just escaped relegation. Crystal Palace lost a lot of players in the past few years, losing Elise and Eze, and then losing Guehi and the Croix. They're going to go lower. They're just going to go lower. Like, it doesn't matter if they play good football. With the quality they have, they just will be lower than what they were. And then Brentford as well. I think they'll be even lower. They just, like last season, after Thomas Frank left, people were surprised they were still doing well, but I think this season, other teams are just way too stronger. I think they will be 16th. And then 17th, Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest still have some solid players, but they just lack a bit. I just feel like they just lack a bit of that individualism to want to win games sometimes, and I think that is what puts them quite low on the table. But I think they will just escape relegation. And then 18th to 20th. Ipswich Town and Hull City, they're the two that they're just going to go down. If they stay up, I'll be very surprised. They're just going to go down. But 17th, I think Newcastle will relegate. They have lost Gordon, Tonali, obviously Isak 2 seasons ago. They've lost a lot of good players. Their only solid player that they managed to keep was Lewis Hall. And with the new manager, I don't really know much about him, but he doesn't seem like too knowable, likable. I just think Newcastle will relegate with how many players they've lost, and with the quality they have now, I just think they will relegate. So yeah, that's my predictions, 1 to 20, the Premier League 2026-2027 season. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. There is a few outrageous takes to the norm, but at the end of the day, there's always a few upsets and surprises in the Premier League, and that's what we love about it. But yeah, that's it for that. I'll catch you guys later. Ready for the new season. Peace.